Hello treasure seekers and coin lovers. Welcome back to Coins Hunter USA, the place where every coin tells a story and sometimes that story is worth a fortune. Today, we're diving into one of America's most iconic coins, the Washington quarter. You might think of it as just everyday change, but hidden among these quarters are rare pieces that can shock you with their true value. Stay tuned, because today's episode could completely change the way you look at the coins in your pocket. Top 1. Today's video is going to surprise you. We're diving into the fascinating story of the 1994 Washington quarter, a coin that many people still carry in their pockets, wallets, or piggy banks, not realizing that some of these quarters could be worth an unbelievable fortune. Stay with me until the end, because I'll be revealing just how much one of these coins can be worth. It's a jaw-dropping figure that you won't believe. The Washington quarter series has a long and proud history. It was first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday, and ever since, the Washington quarter has become one of the most recognized and widely used coins in America. By 1994, the design of the coin was already a classic, featuring George Washington's profile on the obverse and the proud eagle on the reverse. Even though millions of quarters were struck that year, not all of them are created equal, and that's where the real magic lies for collectors. So, what exactly makes the 1994 Washington quarter so special? First, let's talk about mint errors. Errors are like little accidents that happen during the coin's production process, and they are always fascinating because no two error coins are exactly alike. Imagine owning a coin that's truly one of a kind. It's no wonder collectors are willing to pay high prices for them. Some of the known errors for the 1994 quarter include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin wasn't aligned correctly in the press, or double die errors, where the design elements look slightly doubled, giving the coin a unique and collectible appearance. There are also rare cases where coins were struck on the wrong planchet. This means a 1994 quarter could have been accidentally struck on a blank meant for a penny or a nickel. These coins stand out instantly because their size, weight, or color may look slightly off, and when authenticated by experts, they can sell for thousands of dollars. Just think about it, finding a common-looking quarter that turns out to be struck on the wrong metal is like finding buried treasure right in your change jar. Condition is another major factor that determines the value of a 1994 Washington quarter. Coins that have been in circulation for decades usually show scratches, fading details, and overall wear. But an uncirculated quarter, one that has been carefully preserved with all its details sharp and its luster shining like the day it was minted, can be incredibly valuable. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC use a 70-point scale to measure the condition of coins, and only a small number of 1,994 quarters have achieved the highest grades of MS68 or above. These coins are in such perfect condition that collectors will pay astonishing amounts to add them to their collections. Let's not forget the proof version struck in San Francisco. Proof coins are specially made for collectors and are not intended for circulation. They are struck multiple times to bring out razor-sharp details, and they often have a mirror-like surface with frosted designs. A deep cameo-proof 1994 quarter in pristine condition can also be highly desirable, and collectors will pay premium prices to own one of these stunning coins. But beyond errors and grades, there's also the thrill of the hunt that makes the 1994 Washington quarter so exciting. Many people overlook modern coins, assuming they're not valuable, but collectors know better. Every coin has a story, and every coin has the potential to surprise you. It's this thrill, the possibility that one small, ordinary-looking quarter could turn out to be something extraordinary, that keeps the hobby of coin collecting so alive and rewarding. And now we come to the most exciting part of this video, the value reveal. While the vast majority of 1994 quarters are worth only 25 cents, there are rare varieties and pristine error examples that have shocked collectors with their incredible value. In fact, some of the rarest 1994 Washington quarters have been valued at an astonishing $76,000. That's right, $76,000 for a single quarter. Imagine holding something so small in your hand and realizing it could pay for a new car, a year of college tuition, or even a down payment on a house. So, the next time you come across a 1994 quarter, don't just toss it in your pocket or spend it without a second thought. Take a closer look. Examine the details. Look for any doubling in the design, unusual colors, or signs of errors. And if you're really lucky, you might discover that you're holding a coin worth a life-changing amount of money. Collecting coins is not just about the value, it's about the history, the artistry, and the stories behind each piece of metal. The 1994 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how something as ordinary as spare change can connect us to history, teach us about minting processes, and maybe even deliver a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Top 2. We're diving deep into one very special coin, the Washington quarter from 1995. At first glance, it looks just like any other quarter, but as you'll soon discover, this coin has secrets that could make it worth far more than its face value of 25 cents. Stick with me until the very end, because I'll reveal just how much one rare example of the 1995 Washington quarter has sold for. It's a number that will absolutely amaze you. Let's begin with a bit of history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States and the face of leadership, independence, and resilience. Over the decades, this coin became one of the most common and recognizable in circulation, but every year of minting carries its own story. By 1995, America was in a period of economic growth, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins for circulation. That means millions upon millions of quarters were struck in Philadelphia and Denver. On the surface, it may seem that a coin from 1995 is too modern to be rare, but that's where things get interesting. Because while millions were made, only a tiny fraction stand out as truly valuable, and it all comes down to rarity, errors, and condition. So, what makes a 1995 Washington quarter valuable? First, we need to talk about minting errors. When coins are produced at such a massive scale, mistakes are bound to happen. And for collectors, these mistakes are like buried treasure. One example is an off-center strike, where the design isn't properly centered on the coin. These can range from subtle misalignments to dramatic ones where a chunk of the design is missing. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. Another highly desirable error is the double die. Imagine looking at the date or the lettering on the coin and seeing a faint duplicate image. It almost looks like the coin has a shadow. That's a double die error, and it's caused when the die shifts during the striking process. Collectors absolutely love these because they're rare, visually striking, and impossible to fake convincingly. Then, there's the possibility of wrong planchet errors. Sometimes, a quarter might have been struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a dime or a foreign coin. These oddities are incredibly rare and fetch eye-popping prices at auction. Now, let's move on to condition, which is just as important as errors. Most coins from 1995 have been used daily for decades. They've been dropped in vending machines, scraped against other coins, and passed from hand to hand countless times. Those coins, while still part of history, are only worth face value. But here's the catch: if you happen to find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, its value skyrockets. Collectors use a grading system from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. High grades like MS66, MS67, or even MS68 are incredibly hard to come by, especially for coins that were intended for circulation. A top-grade 1995 quarter with a strong strike, brilliant luster, and no visible scratches can sell for thousands of dollars. These coins are often discovered in old coin rolls, collections that were stored away, or mint sets that were never opened, and we can't forget about proof coins. In 1995, the San Francisco Mint struck proof Washington quarter specifically for collectors. These proofs weren't meant for circulation and feature dazzling mirror-like fields and frosted designs. When preserved properly, they're stunning to look at and extremely valuable in high grades, especially with a deep cameo contrast. So now, let's put this all together. Imagine this: you're going through your change jar, maybe just counting coins for laundry or groceries, and you spot a 1995 Washington quarter. At first, it doesn't seem like anything special. But then you take a closer look. Maybe you notice doubling on the date. Maybe you see that it's unusually well preserved, with crisp details and a strong shine. Or perhaps you realize it's a proof coin that somehow ended up in circulation. In that moment, you're no longer holding just 25 cents, you're holding a piece of history and potentially a life-changing treasure. Collectors around the world are always chasing coins like these. They know that the combination of rarity, condition, and demand creates value, and the Washington quarter from 1995 has become one of those modern coins that continues to surprise even seasoned numismatists. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While most 1995 quarters are worth only their face value, rare varieties and high-grade examples have shocked the coin collecting community with their prices. In fact, one of the rarest and most pristine 1995 Washington quarters has been valued at an incredible $72,000. Yes, $72,000 for a single 25-cent coin. Think about that for a moment. Something you might overlook in your pocket change could actually be worth more than a brand new car, or even a down payment on a house. That's the thrill of coin collecting. It's not just about history, it's about discovery, patience, and the excitement that comes with the possibility of striking gold in the most unexpected places. So here's my advice: check your change, dig through your old coin jars, and don't ignore those Washington quarters from 1995. You never know, you might be holding on to a small fortune without even realizing it. Top 3. We're going to explore one coin that may look completely ordinary at first glance, but under the right circumstances, it can be worth a truly jaw-dropping amount of money. I'm talking about the Washington quarter from 1996. Stay with me until the very end because I'll reveal the unbelievable value that one rare example of this coin has reached. Now, let's take a step back in time. The year was 1996, and the Washington quarter had already been in production for over 60 years. Originally introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday, this coin had become one of the most iconic pieces of American currency. But here's the twist: by the mid-1990s, quarters were being minted by the hundreds of millions, so you'd think they'd all be common. The truth is, however, that even within such massive production runs, there are coins that stand out. Rare varieties, mint errors, and coins preserved in pristine condition are the ones that collectors crave, and that's exactly why the 1996 Washington quarter deserves your attention. Let's talk about the design for a moment. On the obverse, you have the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. His dignified profile had been featured on the quarter since 1932, and in 1996, it remained unchanged. Flip it over, and you'll see the classic eagle reverse, perched proudly with wings spread wide. This design was used until 1998, just before the U.S. Mint introduced the state quarters program. That means the 1996 Washington quarter is one of the last in the long-running Eagle Reverse series, an era that closed right before one of the most successful coin programs in American history began. For collectors, that gives the 1996 quarter a special place, marking the end of a chapter. Now, let's dig into what makes some 1996 quarters so valuable. The first key factor is mint errors. When coins are struck in huge quantities, mistakes inevitably slip through. Some quarters from 1996 have noticeable off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing or shifted. Others have double die errors, where lettering or the date looks doubled, almost like it has a shadow. These errors aren't just unusual, they're one of a kind, and collectors will pay handsomely for them. Another error that collectors prize is the clipped planchet. Imagine a quarter with a small curved piece missing, almost like someone took a bite out of it. While it may look like damage, it's actually a minting error, and those quirks make the coin far rarer than a standard issue. But beyond errors, condition is everything. Most 1996 quarters circulated heavily, tossed around in pockets, purses, vending machines, and cash registers. They got scratched, dulled, and worn down over time. These coins, while still part of history, usually aren't worth more than 25 cents. But if you find one in exceptional, uncirculated condition, what collectors call mint state, the value changes dramatically. Grading services use a scale from 1 to 70, and coins that grade MS 67 or higher are incredibly rare for 1996 quarters. Those few examples that survived with sharp details, full luster, and minimal flaws are the ones that can sell for thousands. Proof coins from 1996 also deserve a mention. These were struck at the San Francisco Mint for collectors and feature mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs. While they weren't meant for circulation, a few have made their way into the public, and high-grade proofs are extremely sought after. If you come across one of these with deep cameo contrast, its value could surprise you. Think about it for a moment, you could be holding one right now and not even know it. That's what makes the 1996 Washington quarter so exciting for treasure hunters. The idea that a simple coin in your change jar, something you might hand over at a gas station, could actually be worth thousands is what keeps collectors searching every single day. Now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While the majority of 1996 Washington quarters are only worth face value, there are extraordinary exceptions. High-grade examples, rare errors, and special variants have commanded staggering prices at auction. And in one remarkable case, a pristine 1996 Washington quarter was valued at an incredible $70,000. Yes, $70,000 for a single quarter. Just imagine that. A coin you might overlook as spare change could actually be worth more than most cars or even the price of a year's college tuition. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's a mix of history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery, and the 1996 Washington quarter captures all of that perfectly. So here's my challenge to you: check your coins carefully. Look for that doubling on the date, search for off-center strikes, and pay attention to the condition of your coins. Because you never know, the next time you sort through your pocket change, you could uncover a hidden treasure worth a fortune. Top 4. We are going to talk about one of the most fascinating coins from the late 90s, a coin that many people have held in their hands without realizing just how special and valuable it could be. I am talking about the Washington quarter from 1997. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary coin, but as every true collector knows, it's the rare details, the hidden errors, and the unique conditions that transform a common quarter into a coin worth thousands of dollars. Let's take a journey back to 1997. The Washington quarter had been around for decades by this point, first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. The design by John Flanagan had stood the test of time, with Washington's strong profile on the front and the proud eagle with spread wings on the back. By the 90s, the quarter had become a staple in American life, used daily in vending machines, parking meters, and every small transaction you can think of. But in the vast sea of ordinary coins, there are always those rare survivors that make collectors' hearts race. The 1997 quarter was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, Denver quarters bear a small d, and the San Francisco issues were proof coins made especially for collectors. While millions were minted, only a tiny fraction turned out to be valuable. So what makes the difference? Let's talk about the factors that give the 1997 quarter its power. First and foremost, errors. This is the golden word in coin collecting. Mistakes at the US Mint create coins that are unlike any others, and that uniqueness can skyrocket their value. For the 1997 Washington quarter, some of the most sought-after errors include double die obverse, where the date or lettering appears doubled, giving the coin a shadowy, eye-catching look. Another error to look for is off-center strikes. Imagine a quarter where part of Washington's face is missing or shifted because the blank wasn't properly aligned. These errors are rare, but when you find them, you've got something special. There are also clipped planchets, where a small curved section is missing from the coin. To the untrained eye it might look damaged, but to a collector, it's a minting error, and that makes it valuable. Some 1997 quarters even feature die cracks, raised lines that appear across the coin as the dies wore out. These little quirks all contribute to the rarity and charm that collectors absolutely love. Condition, of course, plays an equally big role. Most quarters from 1997 were heavily circulated, tossed around in daily life until they became worn and dull. These are the ones you'll usually find in change today, and in most cases, they're worth only 25 cents. But if you come across one that has been preserved in excellent condition, with sharp details, bright luster, and no scratches, then you are holding something extraordinary. Grading services like PCGS and NGC use the Sheldon scale to measure quality, and a coin that grades MS67 or higher is extremely rare for this year. High grades are where the big money comes into play. Now, let's not forget about the proof coins from the San Francisco Mint. These coins were struck using special polished dies, giving them a beautiful mirror-like background and frosted designs. While most stayed in collectors' hands, a few have slipped into circulation. If you're lucky enough to discover one in pristine condition with deep cameo contrast, the value can be significant. Think about the thrill of this for a moment. You could be looking at a pile of quarters in your home right now, and sitting in there could be one of these rare and valuable treasures. That's why coin collecting is so exciting. It's a mix of history, mystery, and the chance to uncover something worth far more than its face value. And now, here's the part you've been waiting for: the value. While the majority of 1997 Washington quarters are only worth face value, rare varieties and coins in top condition can bring in serious money. In fact, one example of this coin in exceptional condition, preserved so perfectly that it stood out above the rest, was valued at an astonishing $68,000. Yes, you heard that right. $68,000 for a single quarter. Just imagine finding something like that in your change. It's like winning the lottery, but with history in your hands. So coin lovers, always remember to check your quarters carefully. Look for errors, pay attention to condition, and never overlook the little details. You never know when an ordinary-looking coin could turn out to be a life-changing treasure. Top 5. We are turning our attention to a coin that many people may overlook, but collectors know it can be a true hidden gem: the 1998 Washington quarter. At first glance, it may look like just another coin you've used to buy a coffee or a snack, but let me tell you, some of these quarters hold secrets that can make them incredibly valuable. So stay tuned, because this might just be the coin you didn't know you needed to look for. The Washington quarter has been part of American currency since 1932, originally introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. By the late 1990s, the design had already become one of the most iconic in U.S. coinage history. But 1998 was a very interesting year for this series, because it marked the final year before the United States Mint launched the famous State Quarters program in 1999. That makes the 1998 issue historically important. It's the last of the classic Washington quarter design before a new era began. For collectors, that final year status always adds a little extra excitement. Now let's talk about what makes the 1998 Washington quarter so special. Millions of these coins were minted for circulation, so finding an ordinary one isn't hard. But the real treasure lies in finding one that's in pristine, uncirculated condition, or, even better, one with minting errors. Mint errors are what really send the value of these coins skyrocketing. For example, some 1998 quarters were struck slightly off-center, while others have double die errors where parts of the lettering or design appear doubled under magnification. These mistakes make the coin unique. No two error coins are exactly alike, and collectors absolutely love that. Another detail to watch for is the finish. While most 1998 quarters were minted for everyday use, proof versions were also made at the San Francisco Mint. These proof coins have a beautiful mirror-like finish and were never meant for circulation. If one of those proofs somehow slipped into circulation, holding it in your hand would be like striking gold. The condition of the coin is everything. Collectors prize coins that are sharp, clean, and free from heavy scratches or wear. A 1998 quarter in mint state, especially with an error, can be worth far more than you'd ever expect from a simple 25-cent piece. It's always worth checking your change carefully, because you never know when you might come across one of these rare beauties. So why does the 1998 Washington quarter attract so much attention? It's the combination of history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. It's the kind of coin that makes collectors' hearts beat faster, because it represents not just money, but a piece of history that tells a story about America at the end of the 20th century, and now, the part you've been waiting for, the potential value. If you happen to find a rare 1998 Washington quarter in excellent condition, especially one with a striking mint error, its value could reach an astonishing $79,000. That's right, $79,000 for a single quarter. Imagine pulling that out of your pocket change. This is exactly why coin hunting is so exciting. You never know when you'll stumble upon a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed learning about this incredible coin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Coins Hunter USA, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on future discoveries. Share this video with other coin enthusiasts, and let's keep the passion for collecting alive. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.